Do you believe you have spiritual gifts, but you don't know how to access them? Or maybe they scare you and you view them as more of a curse than a blessing? Well, today we have an amazing woman who's here to help you identify and activate your spiritual gifts, release the fear, and step into that supernatural power that can help you live your best life and help people everywhere. Welcome to Boss Up Goddess. I'm Elizabeth Ann Atkins, and I interview trailblazing women like the one you're about to meet who help us all live bigger, better, and bolder. I want you to meet a woman who's actually named after a goddess, Athena Lucine. She is a spiritual thought leader, an author, founder of Universal Heart Coaching, and host of the Cosmic Celebrity Podcast. Welcome, Athena.
Hi, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited.
I'm so honored that you're here because you bring such wisdom and experience to this conversation about spiritual gifts. And it's your mission to help people
Yes,
get over the fear and awaken it and use it. So,
yes,
Athena, can you talk about your story and what brought you to this mission?
absolutely. So I grew up in a Caribbean household. I was born in Jamaica. And so superstition is like very strong, right, in the Caribbean. And essentially, I was naturally spiritually gifted. I was always picking up on spiritual insights. And at the time, I didn't know what it was all about. I didn't have persons around me, adults, my mother who understood that. So I struggled with it and I tried to reject it for so long. As a child, I tried to just fit in with the other kids. There was just always something that was just so different about me. So I always got picked on and so forth. But I felt like this internal sense of peace, though. You know, I knew that there was something very special about my spiritual gifts. I didn't know at the time, I didn't have the language, so I never used those words, right? But I just knew that there was something different and special. I just recognized early on that there was always magical outcomes. There was always a sense of just essence that I couldn't quite put words and language to, which I got better at as I got older. But essentially, I struggled with, self-image issues, all of the regular things that children typically struggle with. But in addition to that, I struggled with this lack of understanding of why I was so different, right?
Athena, can you talk about how that manifests? Like, did you sense spirits? Were you psychic?
Sure.
Did you talk to angels? What happened?
Yeah, so I am a vivid dreamer. Like I always dreamt the future. I got premonitions all the time. I took on the adults' energy around me. I didn't really understand why I had a knowing about certain things. I just had this intuitive knowing about this, particularly things that was going to happen in the future, things that were happening in persons' lives. I would literally dream them coming to me in my dreams and asking for help. And I'm like, well, what do these dreams mean? And how am I supposed to help these persons? Right. And I always had this intense, strong energy that other persons could feel, but I didn't quite know it at the time. So it was all these things, some of them many very subtle, but there were all these things that happened that I just couldn't explain it. But I saw a person's strong reaction to me. And
Oh,
that was pretty scary. I was like the
oh.
weirdo. It was always very weird, which is okay because weird means supernatural. So
Okay, so you said people teased you, you felt
yes,
different, outcast
yes,
maybe,
yes.
and as a child, and then how did you grow into this or make peace with it? And
Honestly, as I became an adult, well, first of all, I ran away from it, right? I didn't know what this was. And so, like I mentioned before, there was always the natural things that a teenager or an adolescent would go through, right? The self esteem or the self image issues and things of that nature. But there was always something extra, right? There was like that having the dreams and not knowing how to interpret them, picking up on information, being able to sense or feel the loved ones, my loved ones and loved ones of other persons, them communicating or wanting me to communicate with other persons and give messages. And I'm like, I can't do that. I mean, so I went
Oh.
through all that. And then as a young adult, I always read a lot of books. And as a young adult, I read. And because I knew that there was something different, there was certain things that I read about, like Sylvia Brown, for instance, like all her
Mm.
books really resonated with me. And she was like my saving grace in many ways, because she actually gave me language to what I was experiencing. And she also taught me how to protect my energy. In her work, she talked about pillars of light and, basically mentally working with energy to be able to protect yourself and also give persons blessings and healings. So reading did it a lot for me, put things into perspective. And then I added from my own unique essence, soul essence, kind of incorporated my own thing, my own intuitive knowing and way of being. So,
Wow.
yeah. So
Wow. That's
reading,
powerful.
yeah, I
Mhm.
read. So
Mhm.
Sylvia Brown, Louise Hay,
Mhm.
Iyanla Vanzant. I feel like I'm like a mixture of those three persons with
Wow.
spirituality and spiritual giftedness. And I kind of brought my own unique um, piece of the art to it.
I love it. So, what is your definition of spiritual giftedness?
So spiritual giftedness is when a person has insight into the non-physical dimensions or planes or realities. So
Mhm.
they have just a knowing that they can't quite explain. They have like this, it's more than just good skin. It's like this peripheral glow
Mhm.
because there's a lot of high energy, high frequency that's flowing through them,
Mhm.
because they're able to perceive their reality. They're able to sense the non-physical and the physical realms simultaneously if
Mm.
they're balanced and if they're integrated and have the information so that they can navigate their journey successfully and maintain that emotional and psychological health. So it's like they just have intuitive knowings. They just have knowings or senses of just can't really quite explain why it is that they know something, but they just have a strong gut feeling about something. And there are many spiritual gifts. So generally, in general, it's just a person who understands or feels sense and knows that there is more beyond the physical eyes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do we all have those? Isn't everybody born with intuition?
Yes, we all are spiritually gifted, but it's kind of like the athlete or the child that's really gifted when it comes to music, right? Some
Mm.
persons have a natural inclination towards certain talents, and other persons have to work harder at it. Spiritually gifted persons have a natural inclination. They don't have to work hard at it to sense or feel insights about the non-physical realms, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
They just have a knowing. Now, we all are born with the ability to spiritually connect, yes, but some persons have to work harder at spiritual giftedness. Some persons have to be more intentional about it, maybe meditating more often and things of that nature, while other
Mhm.
persons just can just connect and just have a knowing about anything they're asked about
Mhm.
because they're already naturally connected.
I love it. So you have always been naturally connected. You were running from it and then you decided to embrace it. How did you do that and what did you do?
Well, I unfortunately I embraced my giftedness through a lot of suffering, a lot of emotional suffering. I rejected myself. I self-rejected all the time. I was the ultimate people pleaser, always looking for persons' validation and approval. I did everything, the socially scripted way, going to school, getting married, buying a house, everything the socially scripted way instead of what I was intuitively guided to do for myself. So after accomplishing various goals, getting my college degree, all of those things, the happiness and the joy was short lived. And I was curious innately about why that joy was short lived. Why couldn't I consistently feel happy? And then it just took honestly some soul, like deep soul searching. and time spent alone. And then I realized I was absolutely betraying my soul. I rejected myself. I didn't uh, I didn't embrace who I was because no one else did. And so I got to a point through some personal life challenges, like my mother transitioning, divorce, a house fire, things of that nature. When all of those things started to happen simultaneously, I started to ask more deliberate questions. I started to deliberately set intentions for more clarity. And I just got to a point where I got to a place where I just wanted to love myself no matter what, embrace myself, no matter who didn't understand me, no matter, because I found out that there is no pleasing other people consistently. So it was just maddening trying to have the approval of other people. So I just started approving of myself. I said, if they think I'm crazy and everybody thinks I'm crazy and all this stuff, I might as well be crazy and happy and content with myself, you know?
Wait.
And it's funny, when I connected with myself and just started being true to myself, that's when other people starts coming around like I'm like this magnet for other people now. But then you start understanding human nature better. And then you start understanding that that's just this human nature. If you're happy and content with yourself, people want to be around you. But when you take the focus on yourself and the inner work and try to focus on other people at the external first, it's like it doesn't work. It gets chaotic and dysfunctional very quickly. Yeah.
Wow. That's powerful. I want to step back a little tiny bit when you said you were betraying yourself. Does that mean your inner voice, your divine voice within was telling you
Right.
to do one thing and you were going to college and doing all these other things
Right.
instead?
Betraying my soul. Right. It was more important to have the approval and validation of other persons than to have my own inner peace, than to just be content and clear about what was important and meaningful for me in my own life. You know, I put myself last and everybody else first because I was desperate for their love, yearning for their love, yearning for their acceptance. Like I had a whole childhood and early adulthood of just yearning for somebody else's validation. And then I just got to a point where it's like there was just no pleasing them consistently. You can't please everybody. You can't please everybody. You just can't. And so I just got to a point where I realized this and I said, well, I'm not trying anymore. I'm just going to please myself. How about that? And just get in this internal dance. I call it dancing center stage with your inner spirit, you know?
Please
and
say that again.
It's like dancing center stage with your inner spirit, and everybody else and external circumstances are just props on the stage. It's about that soul dance. And once you stay centered with that, you'll have unshakable peace.
Wow, that is so powerful. Oh my goodness, Athena. Let me just acknowledge you're named after the goddess Athena. Can you tell that story real quick, please?
Sure. So the story of Athena, or how I got named
How you were
Athena?
named.
Yep. So my mother absolutely loved Greek mythology, and I think she loved everything that Athena stood for. Athena was the goddess of wisdom, battle strategy, and weaving. And I think she just loved everything about that, and she just wanted to name me with meaning. And so she named me Athena. And that's just how I end up with this awesome Greek name, even though I'm not Grecian. And yeah, and I've definitely grown to appreciate Athena. She's like one of my favorite goddesses, you know?
Oh my gosh, I just love that so much. Okay, Athena, let's dive in. If people are watching and they know they have a spiritual gift, but they're either afraid or don't know how to activate and use it, what is your advice to them?
I would say stop being afraid, because your spiritual gifts are ultimately life tools for you to have a fulfilling and soul nourishing life. It is what guarantees you that you will have peace and less suffering throughout your physical life. It's your connection to more expanded views and perceptions about anything you're experiencing in your reality, and you can literally change or transmute any energy in your life based on using your spiritual giftedness as a tool. So following your intuition, being very clear that you come first. Everything starts with self. So self-love, self-understanding, self-acknowledgement, and the external world and everybody else will embrace the vibration that you radiate, and they have no choice. Once you dominate an environment with self-love, self-acceptance, all of those things, your whole environment will be receiving and receptive of that, and follow your vibrational dictation about how they treat you and how they view you. But your spiritual gifts are meant to be tools. I believe that there are persons who don't want you necessarily to be spiritually connected with yourself, because then it makes their agenda harder. When you're empowered within yourself, and when you have clear inner guidance about what next right action is necessary in your life, that's a very empowering thing. And if everybody was connected with that and truly present with that, it would be a very different world that we live in.
Mm-hmm. So for that reason, because you do get pushback and consequences from people who don't want you to be awakened and have this power, how do people overcome the fear of those consequences? Because it's very powerful when you start speaking up or acting differently or doing different things that you want to do that other people don't like. What do you tell people? How do you find the courage to blast past that and still follow your own path?
That is such a great question. The trick to that, Elizabeth, is that it's an internal, quiet, vibrational communication. You don't have to prove your point to anybody verbally. You go within and you go mentally, and you use your energy and your spiritual giftedness to get the things you want for your life, of course, in integrity. But it's not about arguing with anybody. It's not about trying to convince anybody of anything, because we all have our spiritual path, all of us, and we're walking it. And it's about you being present with your own. And it's not this battle of trying to convince anybody of anything. You know, they will arrive to the universal truth on their own. When you arrive to it, just be grateful and appreciative of your own personal self-empowerment, so that you can actually start creating your reality, or mentally flowing energy towards the things that are meaningful for you to experience, including spiritual growth and development without suffering, emotional suffering, or psychological fragmentation, you know, where mentally you're not integrated with your abilities and your physical experience. It's all about integration. It's not even about healing, because there's nothing broken. It's about integration. It's about integrating all aspects of you, your spiritual body, your physical body, your emotional body, and continually working on all those aspects of yourself.
I love that. I love that. So can you talk more, Athena, about how your embracing your power enabled you to heal and empower yourself to help others?
Well, initially, I thought I was the only one. I really, there weren't other persons around me that I could easily talk about these things. You know, I found that there was a lot of people around me that didn't even dream a lot. So I couldn't even say, you know, what do you do? Do you dream a lot? You know, the persons would say, I don't even dream. And I'm like, really? I have like 5 dreams at least every night, you know, and this has just always been from I was a kid. So what I would say is that I literally just, um, I literally just thought I was alone, and I started journaling, I started podcasting, I started doing all those things that for me, it was just therapeutic at the time, right? I just started this business. It wasn't to make a lot of money. It was literally to put the information out on a public platform for anybody else who was going through the same thing I was going through. And I really wasn't sure anybody else was. And then when I started getting comments and emails and all of those things, I'm like, oh my gosh, there are persons out there. They're just afraid. They don't want persons to know. They don't want even family members to know that they have these gifts or that they're struggling with these things. And then I realized that, no, this is an actual thing. It wasn't just me or something I was just going through, you know? And so honestly, just living through my own process and growing with my own process, that became the business. The sole essence of it became the business of coaching and helping other persons, even if it's just to give persons the language for their brains to perceive what's happening or the experience, and for them to know this is a legitimate experience and you're not
Mm.
crazy. It's a
Hmm.
legitimate experience, you know?
Wow. Wow. So, what are some tools that people can use once they do embrace this idea and not see it as legitimate? What are some tools people can use to amplify the power, to
Mhm.
activate it?
So for me now, I don't quite use tools. I do love my incense, and I do love um, my fragrance candles and things of that nature. But if a person feels or resonates with using tools, I would say incenses, candles. I've never been one to like use crystals and things of that nature. I just always used my mind. It was just, it was like, I'm like a mentalist in a way. I just mentally like could like navigated the flow of energy and transmuted negative energy and just did everything mentally. And it sounds tiring, but I just get so used to it. I journal, I write things out, and my most valuable tool is my conscious language because
Oh,
words have vibration. I speak a certain way deliberately because if they say words have power, then think about the negative things you're saying about yourself. It's like you're casting a spell on yourself. You're using
oh,
your own power and your life force against yourself when you speak negatively of yourself or your reality. So there's a reason why I speak a certain way. And the way I'm speaking is they say it's spelling words because it's casting a spell. That's
hmm,
what it is. That's why they say spelling words or how you spell a word, because it's a spell. So when you use conscious language or you give your brain and your mind a frame of reference to interpret or perceive your reality, that's what your brain is going to perceive. It's why 7 different people can, with their eyes closed, touch a different part of an elephant, and they'll all have a different version of what animal it is. It's that
wow.
reason. So we're all just perceiving. But the words that give the vibration and the information to our brain and tell us how to perceive our reality is very important.
Hmm. Okay, you just said something. I had to write it down. How do you mentally transmute negative language? That is
Okay,
so
sure.
powerful.
So, yeah, most of my work and even in my everyday life, I don't say anything to anyone. I just mentally transmute the energy because it's just easier for me.
Wh-
So essentially, if someone says something awareingly or unawareingly that is not beneficial for my reality or theirs, I do it with my son a lot. I energy cannot be destroyed, but it can be transmuted. It can be shifted, but it can't be destroyed. So I would just say, in my mind, um, I uncreate that. I uncreate that. Or sometimes I'll visualize a ball of light and just flash it over the image of the words. Or I would just not accept what the person say mentally. So in my mind, I would say, not in my reality. Like so I always
Oh my gosh.
uncreate or deprogram what is being suggested if it's something that's not conducive for me or my life.
Wow, I uncreate that and then a ball of light to make it
Mhm.
disappear and transmute into something that you'd rather manifest, right?
Yep, and it's all going on mentally, and that's why a lot of spiritual people, they don't talk much because they're in their mind, they're in their mental body. So,
Wow.
do you notice that a lot of spiritual people don't talk much
Yes, yes.
because the
And when
real
they do,
power is in the mind.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
So we're all telling ourselves stories, right?
Yes.
So some stories that are not beneficial to us need to be destoried. So I destory them.
Destoried.
I
Oh my gosh, you have a
destory
whole
that, I
nother.
uncreate that, I transmute that against all ancestry lineage, because we pick up on a lot of our ancestry energy and lineage. We pick up things that are not beneficial for our life. It's in our DNA, it's in all of our, it's a part of our physical bodies. So there's so much energy healing that needs to be done and energy transmuting so that we can vibrate higher, so we can perceive a more expanded reality.
So, can you please talk? This is so amazing. Oh my gosh. Can you please talk about how that works? If something in my mind or your mind, we're saying, I uncreate that, I'm destorying that, I transmute that. How
Yeah.
does that work?
So there's so many ways to do it. And this is where creativity comes in. If you think about divine mind or source energy of all life, or, whatever word a person feels comfortable using to describe the divine essence,
Mm-hmm.
because I believe, and I'm in the absolute knowing that it's the same essence that inspires us to more love, inspiration, passion, joy, all of those positive emotions, right? So for me, in my mind, what I think about, or what I'm in the absolute knowing, is that divine mind is loving, blissful, happy, joyous, harmonious, all of those things. So if there's a suggestion of, scarcity, I know that that's not of divine mind. So this is the way I would calm myself down and keep myself soothed, right? We have to get really good at soothing our own self, our own inner vibrations,
I love it.
right? And our self-talk, right?
Uh-huh.
Throughout the day.
Uh-huh.
And so if something comes to my mind that is negative or that is based on lack or fear or worry, I'm like, divine mind doesn't work like that. So everything about that uncreated, and then I would put a new conscious language around that specific thing. So if I'm worried about a bill, right? If I get fear about a bill, I said, divine mind is abundant, okay? I
Mm.
now have ample resources to satisfy this bill and every other bill that I'll ever acquire in my lifetime. And it's an absolute joy and passion to pay my bills. I bless them with love. They serve a divine purpose in my life. They show that I'm conscious, that I have an expanded wealth consciousness. Persons trust my ability to pay this bill and generate and magnetize money. Like, I'll continue like this until all of that energy dissolves. And now I'm feeling abundant and good about my bill again.
Wow. Do
I
you help?
literally romance my bills. I kiss them. I'm like, thank you. Oh my God, you're affirming and confirming my wealth. Thank you so much. Mwah.
Whoa, I love it. Okay, Athena, when you work with your coaching clients, do you help them script that dialogue for whatever pertains to their lives?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's practice. And for me, it's conscious language, right? So we've heard of conscious parenting, we've heard of conscious uncoupling, we've heard of all this I say conscious language is the key to anything, having the relationships we want, having the wealth show up for us. It's all about what we believe about everything about life.
Mhm.
And it's that continual work and journey of clarity, right? So it's the same principle. It's a universal principle for everything, right? So if you start feeling insecure about your body, oh, divine mind created me as a beautiful masterpiece. So I don't have any fear of there's no reason to feel that I am not a masterpiece, as we all are simultaneously in divine mind. So it doesn't matter what it is, whatever you're struggling with whether it's money, which is also an energy, as you know,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So whatever it is, money, everything is energy. So getting a good vibrational harmony around every topic.
Mhm.
That's it. Feel good about every topic. Feel good about paying taxes. I mean, are you kidding me? Like, feel good about paying taxes, because it's like the IRS trusting you to pay or have the money to pay, or you've acquired a certain amount of wealth. So now you have to give back. And that's a consequence of being wealthy. So
Uh-huh.
that's a good
Uh-huh.
thing. That's a good problem to have, taxes to
Yes.
pay, because you're
And
wealthy.
yeah, I love that. And
Yeah.
also, when we drive on a new smooth highway, it's because we paid the taxes to
Pay the
pay for the new
taxes.
roads.
Oh, this road is serving us. We are divine beings, and this road is serving us so magnificently. The drive is smooth. There's no bumps in the roads. The cars we're driving in is luxurious, and it's meant to serve us. The
Yeah.
cars serve us. The luxury serve us. The opulence is for us. It's always been.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So it's really about shifting your thinking and
Shifting your thinking, feeling good, recognizing if your body doesn't feel good about a topic or something, and do the inner work. Ask yourself, what is that about? Ask your body even, what is that about? Why are you feeling discomfort? You know, and it will intuitively come to you.
Mm.
That's why it's so important. It's so much. Um, and that's why it's so important to be in this soul dance with your inner spirit and source energy and be center stage with that. You don't have time to be preoccupied with other people and their drama and everything else that's going on with them. You don't have time for that because there's so much work. There's so much negative suggestions. You know, the news, TV, you go outside, other people who are feeling negative and down, especially during these times of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a never ending energetic work to make sure that your energy stays purified and aligned and that you're congruent with the things you're doing, your actions and the things you're saying, you know?
I
There's
love
so much
it.
spiritual insight to be had,
Yes.
never ending.
And Athena, you recently took a reprieve to go within and
Mhm.
retreat and
Yes.
reflect. Can you talk about the importance of everyone being able to do that, please?
Yes, absolutely. It's so important for you to be okay and love being in your own energy and giving yourself that sacred solitude so that you are self-nurturing and so that you are present with your own process and your own journey and your own path and so that you can experience a deeper level of fulfillment and happiness. It's a part of aligning more with your soul essence. It's a part of recognizing and strengthening your own intuition and your spiritual giftedness. It's about giving yourself that uh, demonstrating self-love, the pampering and catering to yourself. And others have described it your own inner child. Taking time for your inner child, and so that you remain joyous throughout life, so that you continually experience childlike bliss, right? If your inner child is happy, you're going to radiate childlike bliss, right? Because we're
Yes.
ageless. We
Yeah.
really are ageless,
Mm-hmm.
you know? It's how persons age so gracefully. It's how persons look 10, 20 years younger than their physical age. It's
Yes.
all about this inner work and
Mm-hmm.
and loving being in your own energy and saturating and nurturing yourself with your own energy, because your energy is so beautiful, right? And you share it with everybody else. You got to share it with you too. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, I gotta let that sink in. That's wonderful. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. I feel so uplifted and inspired,
Yes.
Athena. Like you just
Yes.
totally transformed the
Yeah.
thoughts into something really beautiful. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
So
I
how
mean,
can people? Mhm.
thank you. I mean, we really do cause our own suffering, when we feel sad and we do nothing about it because we don't know what to do about it. So, the work that I do and the work you do is about empowering other persons to their own self-realization of how to shift energy and shift their mood and feel good. Just feel good no matter what. Just like Abraham Hicks says, just feel good. Just feel good. No matter what's going on, do your best to feel good, because when you feel good, that's a form of transmuting negative energy and negative
Mm,
emotion. So
mm,
find something, whatever it is that's unique for you, whatever works for you, and just feel good, whether it's thinking of someone who really loved you deeply, whether it's a parent, a pet, just feel good. Go on a walk. Just feel good no matter what.
mhm,
Feel good, because and program your mind and train your mind to be peaceful and serene. Because when your mind is peaceful and serene, it doesn't matter what um, physical manifestations has occurred that you don't want. Because when your mind is peaceful and serene, solutions come faster, miracles come faster, supernatural outcomes come faster, because it's like you're not in the way. You're not impeding your own magical bliss from being exuded in your reality. That's going to attract the solutions, the people, the time. I'm telling you, it's all about mind work. It's mental work and training ourselves to mentally. That's why they say be mentally strong. That's where that comes from. And I noticed that persons or society give half of the knowledge, but not the other half. Your
mm.
mind is a terrible thing to waste, but they don't tell you why. because your mind is creating your reality. It's opened up the pathways of consciousness.
Right.
Right? They
Yes.
tell you to think positive, but they won't tell you why. Think positive because your reality and the way you're perceiving it is dependent on that.
Wow. Okay, Athena, a lot of people tell me that their mind is always churning, spinning, anxious, never calm. So, how do people find mental calm and peace
Mhm.
in order to access that magic and supernatural
Mhm.
power?
Well, our mind is always going, and for me, I don't shut my mind off. I just tell myself things that I want, loving things, loving thoughts. So I never shut it off, because your mind is meant to be of use to you, right? And the more
Hmm.
you use it, the more mental strength you develop. So
Hmm.
it's about recognizing a negative thought pattern, or recognizing something that comes to your mind that's not beneficial to you or the other persons around you, which, by the way, we're all one and extensions of each other. So if
Hmm.
you think something negative about someone else, just get ready, because it's going to definitely affect you too, because we're all just extended versions of each other, you know? So it's about recognizing, it's about getting out of that mental laziness or mental fatigue and really strengthening your mind, really practicing thinking positive or interrupting the pattern of negative thinking. They call it the ego and all this other noisy chatter stuff, but I just simply say, if it's a positive thought, keep it. If it's a negative thought, just stop it.
Wow,
Do not,
wow.
don't allow your mind to control you. You control your mind. It's like, if your mind is your most powerful weapon, why are you letting the weapon control you?
Whoa.
Does the gun control you, or do you control the gun? You
Wow.
have to control your mind.
Right, right.
And when you don't control your mind and your mind runs away with you, do you ever know persons who they were so happy and blissful, and remember when that person used to be so cheerful and now they're depressed and they're so negative? Their mind turned on them.
Hmm. Their mind turned on
Their
them.
mind turned on them. It's years and years of not controlling their own mind and their own thoughts. So now their
Wow.
mind is telling them made up stories about their realities, and they have unfortunately succumbed to those negative stories. So now it's a manifestation of misery, negativity. You know, I'm sure we all know persons who are like that, because we make a point to stay away, right? And that's what
Yes.
I do anyway. I do, you know?
Good one.
So yeah.
Wow. Athena, where can people connect with you so that they can get this tremendous genius guidance?
Sure. Persons can go to my website, athenalucene.com, AthenaLucene.com. And they could just check out the website. There's, free podcast episodes specifically that addresses the most common challenges of a spiritually gifted person. My gift, free to anyone who feels guided to listen to, the various topics. And, I just say to anyone right now who have these gifts, or you're not sure if you have these gifts, if you are questioning if you are spiritually gifted, it means you are. Because if you are not, that's the first sign right there. If you're questioning if you're spiritually gifted, you are. Trust me.
Mm.
And it's about exploring your unique gifts through your unique frame of reference and nurturing that. And the first thing I would say is, you are not crazy. You're having a legitimate experience. And just like if you're gifted in other ways, you would go get a coach, right? If you're gifted as an athlete, you get a coach, right? If
Yes.
you're gifted as a musician, you get a gifted and highly skilled musical teacher. So it's
Hmm.
the same thing. It's about recognizing you're not crazy, and this is a legitimate experience, even though a lot of mainstream society does not talk or explain much about it or offer much support about it, because it's your key to your personal empowerment. It's almost like a hidden knowledge that some persons don't want you to know. you know?
Wow. 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 That's amazing. I am
Yeah.
so inspired and informed. I feel like I learned so much from you tonight. Thank you so much, Athena.
Oh, you're very welcome, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for having me. And you look radiant. You're just
Oh.
glowing over there like a bright beam of light. Oh my gosh.
Oh, as you are.
Oh,
I
thank
do the
you.
things you say, and it's
Oh,
true. I do.
good.
I'm in tune with all of the above, and
Absolutely. Yeah.
living as a spiritual being is transformative on every
Yeah.
level. That's why
Yeah.
I'm so honored and excited to interview you and share your wisdom on Boss Up, Goddess.
Thanks again for
So
having me. This
again,
was
it's
so
my honor,
delightful.
Athena.
This was very delightful. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're so beautiful and so wise. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us tonight. And, maybe you can come back another time and dive deeper into
Absolutely.
one of these topics about self-talk, for example.
Absolutely. Or even when the book comes out, because I am writing the book, finishing up the book, You
Yes.
Are Spiritually Gifted, which I
Hmm.
expect to be published this summer. So maybe when it's published, maybe we can do something else again. And if anyone wants to get on the wait list, they can go to youarespirituallygifted.com, and then you'll be notified as soon as the book is published.
Beautiful. Excellent. Thank you so much. Well, again, I want to thank you again, Athena, Lucine, for joining me tonight to share your wisdom to help us all live bigger, better, and bolder. I
Thank
wish you
you,
the
Elizabeth.
absolute best. You're welcome.
Yes, blissful moments. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your night.
You too. You too.
Thank
And
you.
thank you, all of you, for joining us tonight on Boss Up Goddess, where you got to meet the spiritual thought leader and podcaster and soon to be author, Athena Lucine, who shared some really mind blowing ideas that I think we should all apply to our lives to live better and feel better and embrace that spiritual power that we're all born with. So I'm going to put the link to her website in the description box so you can get in touch with her and learn more about her coaching, her podcast, her book, and all the amazing things that she shares with all of us. And if you're getting value out of this program, please do like, share, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell so you know every time I go live. Please also go over to twosisterswriting.com. Check out my new book that inspired this show. It's called Goddess Be One: How to Live Bigger, Better, and Bolder. And I share my tips on how I have embraced my supernatural gifts to live bigger, better, and bolder and feel peaceful. And as Athena said, glow. Because when you tap into that frequency, you are going to glow, and it's
Yes.
inexplicable, and you feel a peace like you've never known. So that's why, again, I'm just so happy for Athena joining tonight. So all of you, remember, boss up, goddess. You have the power. I'll see you next time.